Hey guys! Whether you are a returning viewer or you're new here, welcome to the video. I hope that this video is finding you in good health and safe, and I hope you and your loved ones are all getting by in this pandemic situation. I have you over there instead of up close because this isn't going to be like a tutorial-y thing. Every product that I use in this video will be listed in the description box down below, so check that out if you're curious about what I'm putting on my face. But for the most part, we're just gonna kind of chill out and chit-chat and get ready for our day. First of all, though, Samantha Ravindal did post a video recently. It was called 5 Things I've Learned in Therapy That Could Help People Get Through What's Going On Now. Basically, various coping mechanisms that she's learned over the years that could probably be very beneficial to most of us right now. I personally found it very helpful. I like Sam a lot. I think she's just really intelligent and well-spoken and just such a force for good, not just in this community, but just in general. Just kind of by being herself and being kind and taking no shit. I just think she's awesome. So if you don't already follow her, I will link that video in the description box down below. You can check it out. I personally found it very helpful, and so you might as well. I was actually planning to do this video before she posted that one, so I'm not trying to copy her or anything. I'm not going to sit here and just revise everything she said because I think it would be very beneficial for you to go check it out and hear it from her. I think that she'll put it better than me anyway. So yeah, I will link that down below. And let's just talk about some stuff. Do I want to start with real shit or do I want to start with fun shit? Yeah, get the real shit out of the way. So obviously, and I'm sure you've heard most people on the internet say this by now, so I'm sorry if it's nothing you haven't heard before or sound like a broken record. This is a really weird state we're living in right now. This is a really weird, unprecedented situation, and there's just a lot of weird shit happening in the world, weird and scary shit. I have noticed it each time I've left my house, which has not been often. It's been an average of maybe once a week for grocery shopping for essentials, because every time we've gone out to grocery shop there have been things we haven't been able to find because of hoarding, so we're going back out fairly regularly to try to find that stuff, but nothing crazy, and definitely not for stuff we don't need. But every time I've left my house to help my mom grocery shop, it's been worse and weirder every time. It's really bizarre. I think it's especially very obvious out here in Vegas, just because Vegas's general response to the coronavirus outbreak has been lackluster. Some might even say pathetic. People out here, an alarming amount of people out here are just not taking it seriously, and then the people who are taking it seriously, a lot of them are just on their worst or weirdest behavior. And that's a really bizarre thing to navigate when you're like me and you're already really introverted and awkward and have intense anxiety, because when other people are on their weirdest or worst behavior and you can't predict what they're gonna do, you kind of get on your weirdest behavior to like try to navigate that, and then you become unpredictable. And when we're already in a situation that is so out of our control and unpredictable, to feel that way about yourself as well is really scary. So I just generally get really uncomfortable when we're out now, not just because I'm scared of catching the virus, but because I'm naturally very protective of my mom, because I'm pretty sure, like, if either of my parents were to get sick with this thing, it would be catastrophe for our household. But I think she in particular is the most susceptible to this if she catches it, because she is asthmatic and immunosuppressed. But my mom is a grown girl, and she can take care of herself, and I can't control her, and I can't control other assholes. But whenever I'm out with her, I'm just very, very protective, and I get very worried when she goes out to shop by herself. So that's just already a weird, uncomfortable situation, not other people's strangeness notwithstanding. And that being said, the people who aren't on their weirdest behavior because they're kind of treating this like an extended vacation. Here's the thing. I firmly believe that everyone should be able to do whatever they need to do to cope during this time. I don't think there's any one correct way to do that at all. I think it kind of looks different for everybody, and we're going to talk about that more later. But obviously for the most part, I do think whatever you need to do to keep yourself kind of calm and stay optimistic during this time, you should be doing. You should be able to do that. But I think there's a difference between coping and deluding yourself to what's going on right outside your door, or continually acting like everyone's blowing this out of proportion. We are going to be facing some really severe economic, social, political ramifications because of this. And if you don't want to think about that, okay, fine. Trust me, I don't either, but bro, it's gonna be an issue. We can't just ignore it, and we can't act like people aren't suffering, because they are. Now, that being said, there's another kind of asshole inhabiting the internet specifically that I also want to talk about, because I think that they might inherently be the more toxic ones. Other than the people who are going around coughing on stuff in grocery stores and spitting on people on purpose. Do I want to talk about the tweet? Do I want to talk about the tweet? I do. I want to talk about this fucking tweet. Okay. I would be shocked if you haven't seen this tweet or any of the crass responses to this tweet floating around, because they're amazing. I'm gonna leave the tweet up for a second while I gather myself, because there's a lot to unpack there. I'm not really sure where to start. First of all, Jeremy, you're so entitled. Please be quiet. Second of all, this tweet is so tone deaf and quite obviously either not taking into account or invalidating entirely the existence of the majority of people. Like, people who are, you know, trapped inside with toxic or abusive partners or family members, people who still have their jobs and are working full-time and or trying to raise and homeschool their kids full-time as well. Anybody who struggles with their mental health in any capacity. Hello. Third of all, I think there's other stuff that people are more concerned about making it out of this quarantine with, like their own health and the health and safety of all their loved ones. Pretty big one. A job to go back to, or at least confidence in their ability to find another job if they lost theirs during this pandemic. And, you know, their sanity intact. That's also a pretty big one. I just can't. I can't believe there's actually a market for being a vaguely shamey, patronizing asshole on Twitter. I can't really fathom that. Yeah. I just think that this tweet was really opportunistic and tone deaf. Here's the thing. I'm not opposed to rise and grind culture. I'm really not. I think there's a time and a place, and this is not it. I think that productivity, first of all, looks different for everybody, and with each person it's different day to day. And also, you have to think about it this way. We've been talking so much about what is essential during this time, and if I have to be honest, if you are currently not working, who exactly do you owe productivity to? I mean, if for you being productive just means taking care of yourself and surviving and also taking care of your family, valid. I just don't think in terms of what your day-to-day life looks like during this time that is unprecedented. I just don't think you really owe productivity to anybody right now. If you're not a person who is driven by that and you're actually just taking this time to kind of fucking relax, then that's fine. So yeah, that's basically my 2 cents on that. This isn't a vacation. This is a global traumatic event we're all witnessing right now. This isn't a productivity test by any means. We all understand here, just to make it clear, we all understand here that your value as a human is not dependent on your productivity levels, right? We know that. You guys know that. You must. I just wanted to make sure we got that out there. Obviously, I could go on and on and on about everything awful that's happening right now. At this point now, and I've kind of gotten all that off my chest, I kind of feel like I don't want to focus on the bad stuff anymore. Because in spite of all the bad that we are constantly inundated with every day, there's also some real good going on. Some people are actually not on their worst behavior. Some people are really stepping it up. And we're not seeing as much of that, obviously. So I kind of want us all to take a step back and take a deep breath and kind of seek out the good in the situation. The number of organizations that have come together to help raise money for relief efforts and to help people who have been so negatively impacted by the situation, that's really inspiring. I want to see more of that all the time. And the number of people kind of stepping up to make sure that we get PPE into the hands of our healthcare workers and everybody who needs it is also really uplifting. My mom, for example, a lot of you might know if you came here from my Instagram account, my mom is a photographer and she does a lot of work with the Nevada Homeless Alliance. But another thing my mom is a really incredible seamstress. And what she has been doing, pretty much since this whole thing began, is she has been making medical masks. She found a pattern to make actual legit masks. And she's made, I want to say, hundreds of them since this started, because the last big order she did was like 153 masks, the last round that we donated, that we took over to the NHA. And yeah, that was a bigger order than I think what she's been doing, but she's been doing this for weeks. So she's got to have made hundreds of them at this point and delivering them to the NHA. And we found out the other day when we took this last round of them that they've been going to St. Jude's. And at the beginning of all this, my mom said something to me that has just stuck with me through this whole thing. And I think that when I say it, you guys will kind of be like, well, yeah, duh. But what she said was that the people who have a lot right now ought to be giving to those who don't. And that doesn't necessarily mean money. If money's really tight for you right now because you lost your job, obviously you're less capable than a few, I emphasize few, other people who are able to. And that's fine. You don't have to donate money, you can donate resources. I think that we should all be able to lean on each other as much as we can during this time. I think now is a better time than any to kind of come together and just be supportive and be there for the people who can't really help themselves during this time. I'm not telling you this story to kind of brag and be like, oh, look what we're doing to like help during this time. I'm more talking about it just to kind of get the info out there that's kind of something you could be doing if you want to help and you have the skill set, or, you know, whatever kind of local response efforts are going on. If you feel like you ought to be helping out, absolutely take part in one of those. I'm more just, if I'm bragging about anything, it's just about my mom kind of being like my superhero always. I'm just so incredibly proud of her for doing this for the last few weeks and for being a part of the relief effort in that way. And I'm just really, really proud that she's my mom. So that's more why I'm bringing this up. And while we're on that note, if you are one of the people who stockpiled medical masks and gloves and hand sanitizer and whatever because you wanted to price gouge people who were actually in need of them and now you're just sitting on it, then fuck you very much. You're a trash pile. I hope I didn't bring anybody down by talking about all this stuff, but it's just stuff that's been going on through my head that I wanted to talk about. I feel like it would be irresponsible of me to come onto this platform and just kind of be like, hey guys, look over here, everything's fine, and not address what's going on. And I kind of feel like I haven't done a great job talking about it up to this point, you know, addressing it. Entering quarantine, I'm coming to the end of week 4 in quarantine. Up until about 4 weeks ago, I was still working full-time. And entering quarantine kind of came on the heels of me already having been through 3 or so weeks of personal emotional upheaval. So that's why I've kind of been absent, more or less, during this time. I have a tendency, when stuff's really getting rough, to kind of recede into my clamshell and not reach out. And so with everything that's been going on, coronavirus notwithstanding, I've just kind of been emotionally detached. But I'm here now, and I haven't actually obviously been ignoring what's going on. I've been staying very up to date, arguably spending way too much time on my phone. And that's another thing I want to talk about, actually. There have been some things I've been doing to kind of pass the time and make myself feel sane in quarantine, other than this, that we can talk about. Chief among them actually being maybe cutting down on screen time. I know it's really, really hard, especially now, especially if you're not working or going to school or whatever. It's really hard to not just want to stay glued to your phone or your devices, because it's the only way. It's kind of our only window to the outside world, in a way, if there aren't people who you're regularly keeping in contact with, like on the phone or video chat or whatever. And for that purpose, I think having our technology is actually a real blessing, just to like stay in touch with loved ones who you would otherwise be isolated from at this point. But other than that, it's like you really just got all the suffering of the world at your fingertips. And like, to be perfectly honest, the human mind is actually not meant to take on that much awfulness. It's really not. I think it's actually one of the things about social media that's been kind of not great. We're kind of constantly being inundated with bad news. That's why it's kind of a challenge for us to seek out the good news happening right now, unless you're following certain news outlets that are reporting on that stuff. You're just not seeing it as much. You're seeing all the bad stuff. And to be constantly flooded with that, it's really hard sometimes for me to not just be like, oh, I so could just sit here and cry. But those are the times when I know, okay, I need to put my phone down and walk away for like an hour or so. Or if that's too hard for you because you're working, like a half an hour, start with a half an hour and so and build up. You know, if you've got a backyard or a patio or something, go sit outside for a little bit, read a book. I don't know, maybe just sit. If you don't have either of those things, go sit by your window. If you don't have a window, I'm so fucking sorry. But also just go take a nap. We should all be taking some mean fucking naps right now. So that is something, is just kind of being mindful of how much screen time you're getting, because I know I've been getting entirely too much. I've become very painfully aware of that. So I make as much of an effort as I can to put my phone down and walk away from it for a little bit, and I think it is actually so helpful. What's some other stuff I've been doing that's been helpful during this time? Honestly, this is gonna sound stupid. I'm fully prepared for you guys to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? But to be perfectly honest, getting up in the morning and like getting ready for my day, even though I'm not going anywhere or doing anything, just days when I have gotten up to film, you know, get up and put on an outfit I actually like versus something that I have to wear because it's what's office appropriate, and getting to sit here and chill and kind of chat into the air and do my makeup and stuff and just kind of like get ready for my day. It kind of makes me feel personally like I'm starting my day on a good note. Here's the thing, since entering quarantine, I've had a couple good days, and those days have mostly been filming days, but I've mostly had down days when I just kind of felt like I need to chill. I've been living in my pajamas as much as anyone else. I'm just saying, I have noticed a really sharp upturn in my moods on days when I have gotten up and gotten ready for no reason. And that's kind of what inspired this video today. That being said, there have been very few days like that. So on my down days, there have been some stuff that I've been doing just to kind of make myself feel more human. Chief among them being just watching beauty related content, brainstorming ideas for this channel, for my Instagram page as well. If you don't follow me on Instagram, it's down there. Listening to music. I listen to music so much. And those are all things that I did pre-quarantine that I just have more time to do now. Obviously not conducive to stepping away from my screen for a little bit, but when I'm listening to music and stuff, or writing down little notes, making lists of video ideas, or watching beauty related content, I'm not checking the news. I'm just still looking at a screen more than I should. But that's also part of why it's been so important for me to walk away from my phone for a little bit. But those are just the things that I have found really therapeutic over the last couple years specifically, that have been very helpful to me during this time. That's another thing about that fucking tweet. Like, take this time to learn a new skill, or you're not disciplined, or whatever. Why should we suddenly feel the need to learn a new skill and put our energy into something like that, rather than put our energy where it needs to go, and then when we need to unwind, just revert to the hobbies and behaviors that have always helped us unwind before? I don't understand why anyone should be feeling the need to add more factors to a situation that's already very stressful and unpredictable. I don't know. Here's the thing. I'm just like anybody else. There are a lot of hobbies that I've wanted to learn, a lot of new skills I've wanted to learn for a long time and just haven't had the time. I'm still not doing it now, just because there have been more important things occupying my mind. If something is important enough to you for you to finally pick it up and do it, you gotta trust that eventually you're gonna do it, or you never cared about it in the first place. Now, I don't think is really the time to be focusing on that shit. I just don't. I think that if there are old hobbies of yours that you miss doing, that you haven't had the time to do, get back into those instead of starting something new. It's about balance, right? And not everybody, even if you are the most productive motherfucker, if you strive on being productive, if you've got your full-time job and your side hustle and like this other hobby you've got that you could monetize someday if you wanted to or whatever, that's fine, you know? It's kind of what I said earlier, everyone should be doing whatever the hell it is they need to do to cope during this time, and there's no one right way to do that. Everyone's kind of reacting to this very differently. But you have to also understand that productivity looks different for everybody. It doesn't have to be professionally productive. It can be something personally productive. For me, that's pretty much this. And a few other things too, which we'll talk about in a bit. There are a lot of things that I used to do that I've been meaning to get back into and just haven't had the time. Like back in the day, I used to read and write all the time, specifically writing. I wrote constantly, like short stories and stuff like that, just nonsense. You could not stop me. I was constantly writing. It's a skill that I haven't picked back up in a while, like pretty much since I started working full time, and it makes me so sad. So that's something I think I'll definitely want to fine-tune during this time. I have been reading. At the beginning of this, I had myself fooled into thinking I was going to be that bitch who was reading all the time out of nowhere, and the reason why is because I am one of those people who just like buys books and then doesn't read them. I'm looking at stacks of books sitting around my room right now that I've just kind of collected and not touched, and it is the most shameful thing. It is one of the things about me that I dislike the most, is that I just don't read like I used to, and now I've got all these books just kind of sitting here. I did finish a book I've been reading for a few months. The other day I was reading a collection of Shirley Jackson short stories. If you don't know who Shirley Jackson is, if you've watched The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix, that is based on a Shirley Jackson story. I just love her writing. I think she's really such a genius and has obviously had such a huge influence on that genre and storytelling in general. I just love her writing. And I finally finished this collection of short stories that I've been reading that's by her for ages now. I finished that the other day. And now the next book I'm gonna read was a gift from my brother. Actually, I'm really excited about it. So if you've seen The Witcher on Netflix, me and my dark, creepy Netflix shows, that show is based on a series of books. And my brother, for Christmas this year, basically got me the first book in that series. And that's going to be my next living room book. That's what I do. I take like a book from my collection down to the living room and keep it on our coffee table down there. And then when I'm down there just kind of sitting idle, sometimes when I put my phone down, I will sit and just read a chapter or two at a time out of my living room book. And that's going to be my next book. I'm really excited about it. The Witcher is a good show though, if you are looking for Netflix shows to watch. What else have I been watching on Netflix? This look that I'm doing today I know is not very springy. And the reason why is because I binge watched the entire 3rd season of Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, and I've also been watching the 3rd season of Castlevania. I'm only a couple episodes in. If you've seen it, no spoilers please. I'm really liking it so far though. So I've been watching all these dark and spooky shows. I'm just really feeling like a cool tone smoky eye and a really vampy dark red lip. Like that's just my vibe for today. We'll have more fun, like colorful spring looks in the near future, I promise. But for now, this is how I'm feeling. And so those are 2 shows on Netflix that you can watch too. If you're into dark and creepy stuff that also has its kind of like silly, cute, wholesome moments, those are 2 really fun shows to watch as well. One of them is a genuinely really good show, and the other one is more of a guilty pleasure kind of thing. I don't really want to give away much more about them other than that. I'm gonna leave it up to you guys to check those out if you want to and decide for yourselves which is which. What else have I been watching on Netflix? I've been rewatching Daredevil. That's mostly at night when I'm about to go to sleep though, because I've watched that so many times at this point I have it memorized, and so I just kind of like to have it playing in the background while I'm trying to sleep. What's something I watch on Netflix that is not that heavy? Like, that is just like genuinely fun to watch. New Girl! That's a good one. That's a fun one. Super funny. Enjoy that. So yeah, that's stuff that I've been watching. I've also, oh, here's something not dark and creepy. I've also been making good use of my Disney Plus situation. I watch a lot of Disney movies. I do. Sleeping Beauty has been a favorite. That's another one I'll put on before bed if I know I'm just trying to go to sleep and I want sound in the background because it's just so close to my heart. Daredevil or Sleeping Beauty? What the hell is wrong with me? But yeah, I've been watching a lot of Disney Plus. We finished watching The Mandalorian a couple weeks ago, finally. And that was fun. I have been able to work out semi-regularly during this time. I want to say I'm averaging like twice a week. And considering that's coming off of a month of not exercising at all, because I was on a pretty serious downswing, I think that's pretty good. I think that is pretty good. If you don't give a shit about exercising, especially not during this time, especially if it's just not a priority for you right now or you don't have the space to do it, I'm not gonna actually sit here and talk about it because otherwise that whole segment of the video would be worthless to you. But I will, if you are into exercising and stuff, and if you do have the space and the time and the energy to do that, I will leave some links to resources for workouts that have been very helpful to me personally over the last couple years, actually. Okay, I just hopped off camera and put on my mascara and did my brows, because those would have been boring as hell to watch otherwise. I'm just gonna pop on a lip, and that's gonna do it for this look, really. Let's see how badly I can fuck this up. I'm really excited. I think I can live with that lip line. How bizarre do you look? Okay, so that is that. Anyway, that completes the look. Again, not very springy, but to be honest, it hasn't really felt like spring so much here in Vegas. That completes today's video. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Your support, especially during this time, means the world. This has kind of become one of my own personal outlets when I feel like I want to be productive but also creative. And so thank you so much for your support of that, especially during this time. And I hope that in return I provided you with some entertainment or maybe peace of mind. I hope that wherever you are, you're doing good. I hope you and your loved ones are healthy and safe. As always, my thoughts are with you. I'm thinking about you guys. If for whatever reason you're not doing well or there's just something you kind of want to vent about, you know, my comments are open to you always. Let's start a discussion about what we're all doing to kind of seek out the good or put good out into the world and the kind of things that we've been doing to feel, you know, personally uplifted during this time. If you're not already subscribed, maybe consider hitting the button down below. We'd love to have you here again. Maybe give this video a like. Neither are mandatory, but both are highly appreciated. I do hope you guys will tune in for the next video. I'm actually really excited to film that one. I think it's gonna go really interestingly. So yeah, I hope you guys will tune in for that. I have some other fun content ideas for the near future for this channel as well, so I hope you guys will stick around for more of my nonsense. And just for now, stay safe and remember this is only temporary. And if you need to reach out, I'm here. I'm all yours. You can reach out to me. Yeah, that's it. That's it for this video. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. So, whoa, this is really close. Hi. I just got done filming and realized I had lipstick all over my teeth, so If I filmed the whole outro with lipstick all over my front teeth, I'm really sorry that you had to see that, but I don't feel like refilming it, so consider this your outro. Love you guys. Bye!